Welcome to the Experienced Darden podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, I'm excited to share my recent conversation with Mercy Ogbleba. Mercy is a second-year student in our full-time MBA class in 2026, and she and I recently connected to talk more about her background, her decision to pursue an MBA, what led her to Darden, and so much more. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. And as always, if this conversation is helpful for you, please like this episode and subscribe to the Experienced Darden podcast so you never miss an update. And remember, you can always check the episode description for links to Darden blogs, social channels, and more. And now, without further ado, here's my conversation with Mercy Ogbleba. Mercy, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. Glad to be here.
It's great speaking with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just right from the weekend, so feeling energized and excited for the week, to be fair. How about you? You're doing okay?
Doing well, yeah. Fresh off the weekend, yes. Same here. How are you spending your summer? I know this summer between the first and the second year is a busy time for students.
Yes. So I'm currently in San Francisco, working with a fintech company within the strategy space. So it's super exciting time, kind of living in a new city, working in a new company, and just having the best time, I would say.
That's great. Well, let's talk a little bit more about you. Who are you and what's your background?
So like you mentioned, I'm Messi. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. I say Lagos, Nigeria by living, but traditionally I'm from Benue State in Nigeria. Prior to business school, I was working at McKinsey as a management consultant. My background actually spans through finance, as well as the consulting space. So I was in consulting for 3 years, kind of mainly working with businesses in Africa itself, across different industries. But I think before that, I studied economics at the University of Lagos as well. And then I am a sister, a friend, I guess, from a family of 5. So it's I would say also someone who enjoys, I think, being outdoors. I think the more I am outdoors these days, I realize maybe outdoors is better than indoors sometimes. I don't know. So it's interesting to kind of, I think, find those little things about myself more and more each day.
Did you know you always wanted to pursue an MBA?
That's a good question. I would say no, until when I was contemplating going into consulting. So it was at the time I knew I wanted to do a master's. I didn't know if I wanted to do a master's in economics, which was where my undergrad background is in, or maybe finance, which was the industry I was working in at the time before going into consulting. But when I say started mocking for consulting interviews, I got an offer from McKinsey. I started looking at okay, what's the trajectory from here and what that could look like, and that's what got me into thinking about MBAs. And then I started thinking about, okay, if I was going to do this, what could life look like? And so I made the decision, kind of, which is interesting, kind of prior to even starting day one in consulting. But I knew at the time, 3 years from then, I wanted to go to business school. So it was a decision I made going in. And then I think I left the decision about what schools to go to till when I was ready to apply. But I already knew I wanted to go at the time. So that was I think 2021, 2022.
So you had a plan.
Yes, basically.
Okay. When you thought about business school, what is it that appealed to you, or what is it that resonated with you?
Yes, great question as well. I think the reason, maybe one thing that appealed at the beginning was going into consulting. People always say you go into consulting when you don't know what to do with your life. You just want to have the opportunity to explore different industries and all of this things. So I knew that was an opportunity to figure out what I wanted to do, or know what I wanted to do in a way and build relative good experience, good skill sets. But I also talked about business school as a path to maybe after I find out what I wanted to do in consulting, go to business school and get into the industry I wanted to go to. And also that's an opportunity to build connections, because I'm not just building connection, but it's more connecting with people from different parts of the world, which is, I think, in my opinion, it's not something you get every day. You can get it at work, but not in the capacity to which business school gives you. So like that was something I wanted to do as well. And I think just being able to, I say being back into the classroom was something I wanted to learn, because like if you're pivoting industries, it's also like there's some, I would say, um maybe knowledge gap, or like something you just need to like balance off to ensure that that pivot does make sense. So I felt like business school was that, let's say, that opportunity for me to achieve all of those things all in one go.
How did you get interested in Darden?
Another very great question. So when I was ready to apply to business school, which was, I knew I wanted to come fall 2024. So I started thinking about like my application as of 2023. So when I started doing research about what school, what states the schools were in, because like the US was like a new maze for me to figure out where makes sense for me. So I attended, there was a program hosted by, I think, MBA Africa. It was an in-person event in Lagos, Nigeria. So I attended that with a couple of friends. And fortunately Darden was there. So I remember walking out to like the decks where Christian West was, because he was the one from Darden who was present. And I was just like talking to him. We spoke maybe like 2 minutes or so, but he gave me like a flyer which had like some information about Darden. So I submitted, like I think I filled an information um stuff that kind of allows you to receive emails from Darden to know what programs were coming up for prospective students. So I attended a couple of those. And I remember just like being on those calls, just like asking questions and people providing guidance, which was really interesting, because like I was trying to figure out what to do, what schools, what made sense, and how I would get to achieve my goals to be in and then this year that's fall 2024. So I think, and also I remember going on LinkedIn and finding Darden students randomly, people I didn't even know, and connecting with them, and they literally jumped on calls. Well, I was like, oh yeah, I'm applying to Darden. I wanted to get an understanding of your experience. And they jumped on those calls and even helped review my essay. They didn't know me at all. We haven't connected at all. So I think that in itself just showed the way like the community of Darden looks like. And I think that piques my interest. So to be fair, I think in my first round of application, I applied to just 2 schools. I got into that in a round one. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm happy to go to that in 100%. So like that was just it for me, to be fair.
Had you spent much time in the United States before coming to business school?
No. So like I came to the United States first, and like, Darden was like my first destination. So no.
How has the adjustment from Lagos to Charlottesville been?
Um like that was something I was genuinely concerned about. I think I didn't think about it when I was in our business school, because I was like, yeah, I'm going to, but when we started drawing closer, I was like, okay, yes, wait, this is different. This is going to be different. Particularly for somebody like me who doesn't necessarily have family here in the US, which is like, okay, I'm just coming, new experience, new everybody, new everything. But I would say I've had a good, like the transition was good. And particularly, I think played a good role with it, because as international students, you come, I think, a couple of weeks earlier to do the ISOP, which is like the International Student Orientation. And it was just, I think it was easy just like meeting other international students at the beginning, because it's like we're there, most of us were there for the first time. So we're all kind of navigating it. I think, the shared, I would say shared struggle, like everybody were going through the same thing. So I didn't feel like I was alone in kind of like navigating it. So it was easy in that way. Darren also has Dabo, which is like the African Student Organization, which also made it easy, because like, okay, yeah, there are other Africans or like there are other Nigerians, while you also like try to build community outside of your safe space. But I think it was good to have familiarity, even in the unknown, I would say. So it was good to have people I could connect with like from day one, prior to like starting classes or like navigating that in itself. But I still do miss my house or my family, but it's like it was good to be able to do that without having to go through all the headache kind of moving, I would say.
So, what was the adjustment to the school part of business school like?
Mm.
Obviously, being a graduate business student at Darden, probably a little bit different than your prior educational experiences.
Yeah, yeah, that's is very much different. So when you think about business school and when you do research about that in particularly, you hear about the case method, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I'm coming business. I'm going to Darden because of like the case method. Case method is great." And I was also like, I also had this perception, like, "Oh, case method is different. It's interesting." I remember during ISOP we had, I think no ISOP, I think orientation week, we had like a mock case class. And I was like, okay, we need to read cases. But I remember going into my first class. No, during orientation, we introduced to our learning teams, which is a team of we had 7 people in my learning team of people across different countries, across different industries, come together to help make your academic journey easier. And then I remember getting connected to my learning team, and we met the first Sunday before classes, went through all the cases, prepared, and went to class on Monday morning. And it was just interesting to see. I think the first day you just kind of pause to see how conversations are going to get a good sense of like kind of scoping the landscape of what's happening and just seeing like the professors leading the conversation and getting called on or you raising your hand. I think the more I think about it, it was like refreshing to adjust to that place because it's like kind of building the muscle of sharing your opinion, even if you feel like it's right, even if it is wrong, but it's like being open, willing to share your opinion. I think that was the biggest thing I needed to like learn or like break through to be able to kind of transition into this new way of learning and stuff. But I think the moment I realized like professors were more there to help you understand what was being taught, to help you be part of the conversation, it made it super easy to start like getting to the place where I could share my opinion more openly. And I'd say that was good. And so far it's been great, kind of just being able to navigate. How do you talk about finance in the case method or like accounting in the case method? Kind of just getting into the place where you can explain things in a way that people in your class and people who have other different experiences than you do in a way that they can also understand and relate. And you being just able to add the richness to the conversation. I say like the case method has changed how I think about school. To be fair.
How did you get comfortable with sharing your opinion, speaking up in class? It sounds like maybe that was a little bit of a journey for you.
Yes. Yeah. I say the the professors, so I'm in section D. So my my classmates or my section mates were helpful. Kind of I think the first thing was being comfortable, realizing that these people are here, you guys are on a journey together and like realizing that um you are here to learn, your contributions are valuable to the conversation. I think that was kind of like a mental shifts or mental notes I had to make for myself to realize that oh I wasn't I think from Nigeria the difference was in undergrad I had let's say lecture based learning which is quite different from case based, which is like you basically keep quiet, take notes while your professor just speaks at you. You don't really engage in the conversation. With the case method, is like it tries with you engaging in conversation, with you talking, with everybody sharing their perspective and carrying the conversation going. So that was like it's so polar different. So I think even just like working in consulting where it's like you have to like talk to your clients, you have to engage, you have to talk in meetings, that already kind of gave me some basis to like being comfortable sharing my opinions. But I think coming to business school is like although it's like you know what to say, but it's like you doubt sometimes about like, oh, am I saying the right things or not? But I think getting to the point where you realize that for me was like realizing that oh, maybe there's no right or wrong. There could be maybe in some classes right answers, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like sharing your perspective of what was going on. And the moment I realized that it was more my perspective and just like sharing with the class to get people enrich the conversation. I think that was like the unlock I needed. And it was, I think, just seeing how encouraging professors, classmates were, just helped make that shift for me.
How did your career goals or career interests evolve during your time, during your first year?
Good question. So, like I said, I came. from a consulting background. Um, prior to come business school, I was thinking about, okay, well, there's finance, which is like investment banking. I was thinking about that part, to saying, oh, I want to come business. So I think even because before you come to on ground, you feel like a career interest from where you indicate what industries you're interested in. And I think I viewed finance in that particular form. Had my first career conversation with the finance career coach. But as I kind of kept thinking about like, oh, what I wanted to do, how that truly relate and how best to use this experience at business school, which is like an opportunity for me to get into an industry which I genuinely was interested in. I realized quickly that I say following the bandwagon, kind of like, oh yeah, investment banking is the way to go. Investment banking makes so much money. So I was like, yeah, I'll do investment banking. But then like quickly, kind of as I started thinking about coming on ground, even coming on ground in person, I realized that that wasn't really what I was interested in. So why not, like, if I was going to go through this stress of business school, recruiting, why not do it for something that I was genuinely interested in? So that made me kind of pivot quickly to think to the fintech space or tech in general. And to be fair, Darden was pretty open to like figure out what you want. Like there's a it's you don't need to be like, oh yeah, in the beginning I know finance and then you're held to finance because you said that's what you wanted to do. But it was like there was like opportunity to be more flexible in terms of figuring out what I wanted to do. And like the moment I realized that okay, I wanted to get into tech, figure out use a summer internship to figure out if that was truly what I wanted to do. It was easy to like talk about it with the career center and like start recruiting in that direction. It does come with a lot of like its own complexity, kind of being an international student in itself, but just kind of knowing and like communicating that openly just helps me because like people started sharing opportunities in that lens, and it was just like easier to just, like I said, pivot my interest to that.
So you mentioned you're in San Francisco this summer, and then you'll be coming back to Charlottesville for your second year. What are you looking forward to in your second year?
Okay. I see, looking forward to having fun, to building. I've mentioned Comes Business School is an opportunity to build connection. I feel like in the first year we're all very focused on getting the job we want. Kind of everybody is also adjusting to being back to school. Everybody's kind of meeting each other for the first time and figuring out who do I like, who do I not like, who I like less, kind of all of those life stuff. But I feel like second year is like the time where you get to experience it more. So I'm excited to be back to school, to be with my friends, to will I say, build stronger bonds with the friends I'd made in the first year. But more importantly, I think now in second year, I do have some leadership role across different clubs. So it's also being able to, all of the richness I experienced in my first year through the guidance of second year, kind of like say giving back to the second year and giving back like that in with the um m- based on the, like say, resources I also received and kind of just being able to add value to the community as well. So I think for me it's kind of like adding value, like say obviously still learning from still learning from my professors, but also just being able to immerse myself in the full experience by connecting with people more, kind of having time to be do more stuff over the weekend, just like enjoying being in Charlottesville for one more year before I don't know where I'd been after that, but just being able to enjoy where like the Charlottesville experience more holistically.
You mentioned clubs and organizations. Are there any that you'll be involved with in terms of a leadership role or
Um,
thing you
y-
want to highlight here?
so I am the VP of admissions for the Darden Africa Business Organization, which is DABO for short. So just being able to work with prospective students on kind of just helping more African students find that and build the connection that I also felt when I was coming in, and even helping people who are coming in this year as well. That is one thing I'm going to be spending my second year doing. And the second club I'm involved in is the GWIB, which is Graduate Women in Business club. So it's club for women. So I'm currently the VP of conference. So we typically have like a conference every year to bring women together in different capacity professionally, and just like create an opportunity to connect current students with alumni. So like just also working on that with a co-VP this year as well. And then the last club I'm in an official position for is the FinTech Club. So I'm currently the VP of careers for the FinTech Club. So also just figuring out how do we get more FinTech companies to Darden, how do we connect people who are interested in the space to companies as well, and just helping them working with them through their career, navigating the career aspects of Darden is something I'm spending my time on this year. So those are like the three clubs where I have official positions. But in general, I'm also part of the tech club, also I think GBCC. So a couple of clubs to be fair, but like those are the three ones where I'm more actively involved.
I'm curious about your interest in fintech and tech generally. You mentioned that in your career interest, you originally started with investment banking, but shifted off of that and said, well, maybe I'm interested in technology and fintech. What attracted you to fintech or technology as you thought about your post MBA career goal?
Okay. So prior to prior to even graduating from undergrad, I had an internship. I had an internship with Mastercard, which was like, as you know, I knew Mastercard, but I didn't know what like the payments or fintech space looked like at the time. I was just like, oh yeah, this is great. This is a great company. Let's do this. But when I got in, I realized like the payments world was like different. It was a whole industry that I didn't even know anything about. So that got me interested in that space at the beginning. So I knew like that was something that was a point of interest, even as I navigated kind of going into the corporate world for the first time and doing all of those. So when I started thinking more broadly into or what I wanted to do, I knew like I wanted to kind of connect the skills I'd built over the years back to like the fintech or technology space. Because I also feel like that's like there's a direct impact to the work I'm doing to like the customers or people who use those products. And that was something I wanted to not just only doing the strategy on the back end, but kind of how do I have more direct impact? So that was something I wanted to also do. So it's kind of like what industry or what areas give me the opportunity to do all of those things. And I think the fintech space kind of allows me to do more of the tech of the financial technology side of things, and also being in a capacity where even if I'm doing strategy, it's more like I'm doing strategy that directly connects to the product of the business, and then there's a direct impact to the customers of the company as well. I think that's like what that was what I wanted to do, or like figure out how do I get to that position to be able to do those things. And I think payments of fintech is great because it's like how do we get people who maybe have limited access? How do we make the financial services more accessible to more people? Which is like something is a let's say a problem I'm happy to be part of figuring out how to solve. Mm.
I appreciate that. And I'm sure this summer is a really interesting experience. It's one thing to think about it and think you want to do it, and now you get to actually spend some time doing it. So, a couple last questions for you, Mercy. Um, so we've got people who listen to the podcast who think about their own MBA journeys. What advice would you share with them? What would you encourage them to think about as they think about pursuing an MBA?
First of all, take out applying to Darden. But beside that, I'd say like business school application is not it's like a long journey. It's kind of like I think it allows you to even figure out yourself as you write all of those essays. So I would say take some time to really think about your why, because the moment you unlock what your why is, it makes it easier. It makes everything make sense. Kind of going through the process and figuring out what school aligns with that's why. At least even the initial whys, you still have the opportunity to pivot or change what you want to do. But it's like knowing the why kind of maybe um pivoting industry or even going deeper into an industry, just like understanding your why, I think that's like something that's very key because it saves you a lot of time and figuring doing that. I think the other thing is connects with people. I think there's no better testimony than connecting with current students of the school to get a good sense or a good feel about it. Because you can look outside in and but talking to someone who maybe has similar background with you or there's just like some relativity to you and the person can give you more color or beauty to what the actual experience is on ground or in the school itself. And I say like just have fun, like get to know the school genuinely as much as you can and get to I think when you meet other prospective students, it makes it easy because you're working together with other people. So just like having fun across um while you navigate that journey is like really helpful as well.
I recognize that it can be hard to see the application process as fun, but it is the time where you are, thinking about what's possible for you. You're applying to schools. You're summarizing all these incredible things that you've done in your life to this point and sharing them with admissions committees who are eager to get to know you, to learn more about you. My boss, Donna Clark, always talks about it as a time for celebration and joy because it's, you worked really hard to get yourself to this point where you're now applying to business school. And that can sometimes get lost in the application process where people are really focused on outcome and all these things that they can't really control. But the input, how you approach the application process, your state of mind, that is all well within your control. So I love that advice, Mercy.
Yeah.
Well, Mercy, thank you so much. I know you woke up early for this in San Francisco. Appreciate your making some time in your busy internship schedule and appreciate your sharing your story with our listeners.
Well, thank you so much for having me and hopefully get to see some of the listeners in person as well.
And that was my conversation with Mercy Ogbleba, a second-year student in our full-time MBA class of 2026. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, anything you'd like for us to cover here on the podcast, we're all ears. We can be reached at Darden, that's DARDEN, @virginia.edu. Till next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.